Welcome to my OSN InfyTQ Day 2 Python training.
Right, so yesterday we have started with the basics and we have seen what is the data type, what are the variables, and we have completed your string data type. We have seen about your numbers data type, and also we have completed your list data types, right? So now in this session, we will complete the remaining data type also, right? So when I say the remaining data type, we have set, tuple and dictionary, and again we'll start with your functions, right? And did you all take up your test yesterday? And if you have any doubts in the question also, you can make a note of it. We'll discuss at the end of your class, right? Any doubts to be clarified in the test, we'll discuss the question. Anyway, at the end of your session, before your end of your session, we'll discuss the questions that were asked in your yesterday's test, right? So we'll do that at your end of your session, right? So as I told you, I've asked you to go through some topics. Did you go through that? Did you go through what is a set, what is a tuple, what is a dictionary? So no one has gone through it. Okay, so we'll have a quick recap of everything and move on to your functions, right? So first we'll be starting with your dictionary. And this dictionary is one data type in Python where we say we have values in key and value pair, right? Your content of your dictionaries will be stored in a pair where we have key and value pairs. Okay, I'll share my screen. So remember, a dictionary is again an ordered collection, right? It's an ordered collection in the sense that whenever you enter a data into a dictionary, it should be added only in this format. You will be having it in as a key and a value pair, right? Here you call brand to be a key, and code is your value, and model is your key, and string is your value, and year is your key, and 1964 is a value. So whenever you create a dictionary, so when you create a dictionary, you will have to create it in as key and value pairs. And always remember, right, there are few things to be remembered when you talk about dictionary, right? So when I create this key, this is again a string. This is a string. So when I have a string, then this should be enclosed within a double quotes. Even if it is a key, this is still a string. So this has to be enclosed within a double quotes, right? And when you talk about the value here, this value is also a string. So it has to be enclosed within a double quotes. So wherever you have a string in Python, right, be it a key or be it a value, then this has to be enclosed within a double quotes, right? And after the key, don't forget that you have a colon, then it's a comma, you have a colon, then after that I have a comma, right? Similarly, only the last parameter will not have a comma here, right? And then you'll be printing this dictionary. And when I print the dictionary, the output that I get will be in this format, right? So now we have created a dictionary. So how do you access the elements of your dictionary, right? So there are different methods for accessing. The first method we'll be discussing is by using the key. By using the key, I will get the value. So this is the dictionary. So I say X is equal to this dictionary of model, and print X. So when I give it in this way, the value of model will be printed. The value of model will be printed as your output, right? So now, and the same thing, you can also use your get method. There is a method called as get, and that will also give you the same result as your previous one, where you will be using your key and getting the output of my value. Okay? So here again, the get model, your get method will also take your input as a, your input for your get method will also be a key, and the output will be your value. And right, can I change the values of a dictionary? Once you have created, will you be able to change the value of a dictionary? This is again possible. After you have created a dictionary, you can change the value of a key. Right? So now here, when I was creating it, the year is given as 1964, and if you want, you can change it to 2018. So this is possible in a dictionary. And how do I how do I loop in a dictionary? Using a for loop, you can loop in a dictionary, right? But when I use a for loop and loop in my dictionary, I have a disadvantage. So this disadvantage here is that only your keys will be displayed. Only your keys will be displayed, and your values will not be displayed here, right? If you can look at this program, this is the dictionary. I'm using a for loop to loop in a dictionary, and when I use a for loop and loop in a dictionary, and if you can look at your output, only the keys are written and the values are not written. So when you use a for loop, only your key will be displayed, right? So now, and if you want to display the values in your dictionary, right? If you want to display the values in your dictionary, again you will have, so look at this for loop. Here it was simply print x, and now if you can say, I make a small modifications in my for loop saying that print of this dictionary of x. When I say this dictionary of x, here again only the values will be displayed, and in your previous example only your keys were displayed, and now when I say this dictionary of x, only your values were displayed. Can I display, right? So now instead of using a for loop here, or instead of using this dictionary of x, you can also use a method called as values, and this method displays only the values in your dictionary again, right? So now when I say this dictionary dot values, only your values will be displayed and your key will not be displayed, right? So do you have a method now to display both key and your values, right? So if this is the case, then you'll have to use a method called as items, right? So displaying your values alone doesn't give you a big meaning, and displaying the keys alone doesn't serve any purpose. So when you have a dictionary, when they are created as a key value pair, and even when you want to display them, it has to be displayed as key and value, right? It has to be displayed as keys and values, right? So for that, I'll be using a method called as items. It's a method called as items, right? So you say that I have a key and a value. So there are two parameters here. So that is the reason I use x comma y here, right? When I have two values to be displayed, so I have x comma y in this dictionary dot items and print x comma y, and they will be printed as key and value. And when I print them here, if you can see, I don't have this colons here. Right? This colon that was initially given when I was creating a dictionary, you don't find them in the output. Right? And if you want, you can check whether a key exists in a dictionary. So you use this operator. What operator is this IN called? What operator is this?
Membership operator.
Right. This IN is called as your membership operator. Right. So membership operator is IN, and what is the other membership operator?
Not in.
In and not in are your membership operators, right? So what about your identity operators?
Is and not.
Is and not. Is not.
Is not are your identity operators, right? So whenever you use a membership operator, the purpose of your membership operator is it tells us whether your given element is present in your object. So when you take an object, we say your set is an object, tuple is an object, list is an object, and dictionary, they are all considered to be objects here, right? So usually your output of your membership operator and your identity operator will be a Boolean operator. It will be a Boolean operator. So now I use my Len method to find the length of your dictionary. And if you can see, this Len method is also used with your string. It's also used with your string. And when I use it for the string, it returns me the length of your string. And when your len is used with your list, it gives me the number of elements that I have in a list. And when I use your len with your dictionary, it gives me how many key value pairs I have in my dictionary, right? So this dictionary, I have 3 key values pair. So the answer will be 3 here. So len is a single function, is used in multiple ways. And can you add an element to a dictionary? Yes, you can add an element to a dictionary, but always remember that when you add an element to a dictionary, you will have to add it only as a pair. So here I add a color and red, and this color is your key and red is your value. So if you can look at your output, this will be added to your dictionary. So always remember this. You can add element to a dictionary, but a key alone cannot be added, and similarly a value alone cannot be added, and they can be added only in pairs. They can be added only in pairs. So this is very important thing that you need to remember about a dictionary. And removing an item, you will use your pop method along with the key value. And when I say pop of model, the key along with the value will be removed from your dictionary, right? I will not be removing just the key, but the key along with your value will be removed from your dictionary. And right, and when you talk about pop method, as I told you in your, right, so this pop method, we have seen this already. Usually when you use your pop method, the last element of your dictionary will be deleted. The last element of your dictionary will be deleted, right? So, but in your earlier versions of your pop method, that was not the case. Any random element was deleted. When you simply give pop, any random element was deleted. So only in your recent versions of your Python, your pop, when you just give pop without any key value, right, the last element will be deleted. Right? And the del keyword, it is used to remove a particular element, right? So again, you'll have to give, this is very similar to pop item, right? So you can just give the model name, del and the model name. The model name and the corresponding value will be removed from your dictionary, right? And if you want to delete the dictionary, delete the entire dictionary, use your del keyword. And when you give your del keyword, your entire dictionary will be deleted from your memory. It will be deleted. Your entire dictionary will be deleted. Right? And when you say clear keyword, it removes only the contents, right? And only the contents of your dictionary will be deleted, and the dictionary will still be there. Right? And how do you copy a dictionary? Use a copy method. Use your copy method, and this is all built-in functions. Right? And also you use one more method called as your dict, and this is your dict constructor. Call them to be your dict constructor. Right? You can call them to be your dict constructor. Right? So this is used to create a dictionary, as well as you can make a copy of your dictionary. So to copy a dictionary, you'll have 2 methods. One is your copy method. The other is using your built-in dict method, or you You can also call that to be your dict constructor. Just like your list, your dictionary has also got a constructor, right? So nested dictionaries, right? When I have one dictionary, when I have few more dictionaries inside a dictionaries, you call that to be a dictionary, nested dictionaries, right? So my family is a main dictionary here, and within that I'll have two more dictionaries. One is called as child one, the other is called as your child two. A dictionary within a dictionary is called as a nested dictionary, right? So now when I print the output here, when I print the output, child one is the name of your dictionary, and this is your contents of your child one. And child two is again a name of your dictionary, and this is your contents of your child two dictionary. Right. So now we have completed your dictionary. So right. So remember that a dictionary is a data type where it has to be stored only in a key and value pairs. So what is the data type? They are based on different data types. Right? You are not bothered about your data type. Any number of different data types can be added to your dictionaries. You can add any number of different data types to your dictionaries, right? So right, and the next what we'll be seeing with your tuple. So can someone tell me what is a tuple? What do you mean by a tuple? How do you have the elements of a tuple, or how will a tuple be? What are the data types of a tuple?
Tuple is similar to list.
Somewhere
It is enclosed
it is
within
enclosed.
Immutable list.
It is enclosed within parentheses. A tuple is immutable. So what do you mean by the term immutable?
Changes cannot be made.
cannot change.
Right? You cannot make any changes to a list. And tell me, what about the data types? Can I have any number of data types in a tuple? Should be of the same data type or different data type. So when you talk about tuples, they are very similar to a list, right? Because we say that tuple is again an ordered collection, and also that a tuple can have elements of different data type. So when you think about a list also, it is ordered and they can contain elements of different data type. The major difference between a list and a tuple is that we say a list is mutable and a tuple is immutable. When you say a tuple is immutable, right? So you cannot make any changes to the contents of a tuple. Once you have created a tuple, you cannot make any changes to the contents of your tuple. And so you say that tuple is called to be a read-only structure. It's called to be a read-only structure. And how is a tuple made of? A tuple is enclosed within a parenthesis, and every element of a tuple is separated by a comma. Every element of a tuple is separated by a comma. And now suppose if I have to create a tuple with only one element, how do I create it? When I have a tuple with just only one element, how do I create it? Right, here if you can look at the example here, I'm creating a tuple with 3 elements. I'm creating a tuple with 3 elements.
The end between should comma.
If you have to create a tuple with just one element, it should end with a comma here, right? So remember this. So this is a tuple, and so when I say this tuple, the tuple will be displayed as your output. And since a tuple is also a ordered collection, it can be accessed using your number. You can use your index numbers to access your elements of your tuple. You can use your index numbers. Right? Now, when I say this tuple of 1, banana will be displayed. So when I say this tuple of 1, banana will be displayed because your indexes starts from 0. Right? And you'll also have negative indexing and positive indexing here. So when I say this tuple of -1 refers to your last element, so cherry will be displayed. And range of index is the same thing, right? 2:5. 2 will be included and 5 will not be included. And the same thing, just like you had your negative indexing, you will also have it here, right? So since we have seen so many examples of these things, I'm just skipping this off, right? If you have any doubts, please stop me there. Okay? So we are running out of time, so I don't want to keep on telling you the same things again and again. So that is the reason I'm being a little bit fast, because we have seen that already in your list and your strings. So we don't have to waste time still in your slicing. So that is the reason we are moving a little bit faster here, right? So now, as you know, tuples are immutable. When I say tuples are immutable, you cannot change the element of a tuple. And if at all, if you have to change the element of your tuple, then you will have to convert it into a list, change the element, and again convert the list back to a tuple. So here I say x is equal to apple, banana, and cherry. So this is a tuple. So now when I say y is equal to list of x. So now this tuple is changed to a list. So what is this list method? This list is a built-in method, or you call to be a list constructor. And this can also be used to create a list. You can also use a built-in method to create a list. So now your tuple is being converted to a list, and the name of the list is y. So now when I say y of 1 is equal to kiwi, banana will be changed to kiwi. So now I have made the changes in your list. So now the list is again converted back to a tuple. So first you create a tuple and change the list, change the tuple to a list, and after you have changed that to a list, do your modifications and again convert it back to a tuple and display the result, right? Convert it back to a tuple and then display the result. And if you can see the result, your result is now in the form of a tuple, right? Your result is now in the form of a tuple. So why am I doing this roundabout method? The reason here is that tuples, the elements of your tuples cannot be changed because they are immutable. So remember that. And what about strings? Can I change strings? What about strings? Are they mutable or immutable? Strings are also immutable. Strings are also immutable. So do remember this also. And look through a tuple, you will be using a for loop. You will be using a for loop for moving through the elements in the tuple. And similarly, you will again go for your membership operator IN. You will be using your membership operator IN to check whether a given element is present in a tuple or not. And tuple length, the same way you'll be using your len here. The same way you'll be using your len, and this returns the number of elements that you will have in your tuple. And add items. Can I add an element to a tuple?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
They are unchangeable or they are immutable, so you cannot add an element to a tuple. So this statement will give you an error, right? This statement can give you an error. So remember, when I say immutable, you cannot change an element of a tuple, nor you can add or remove an element from a tuple, right? So can I, as I told you, remember, to create a tuple with one item, right? When we started with tuple, I told you. So to create a tuple with one item, so I say this tuple is equal to apple, and even though there are no elements after it, even though there are no elements after this, I still use a comma. And if I don't use a comma, this becomes a string. When I don't use a comma, this becomes a string. So I say this tuple is equal to apple, comma, and I'm printing the type of this tuple. So your type method is used to give the data type of an object. The type method is used to return me the data type of an object, right? So now when I have not a, so this tuple is equal to apple and I don't have a comma here. So again I print the type of this tuple. So what happens here? The first is a tuple and second is of your string. So even though you have only one element, right? Right? It should have, or it should be followed by a comma. It should be followed by a comma. Right. So now tell me, can I remove an element from your tuple?
சிங்கமா வாயில வரும். மூடிட்டு படுக்கறியா?
Can I remove an element from a tuple?
No, ma'am.
Right.
No, ma'am.
You cannot add or you cannot remove from a tuple. Right. So how do you join two tuples? You can use the plus operator to join two tuples, right? So just like you used your plus symbol to add to list, you can also use your plus operator to add two tuples. So in addition to that, you'll study something called as a packing and packing. So packing is a process where a new value is placed inside a tuple. When you place a value inside a tuple, it is called as a packing process. And when you remove these values from a tuple and place them into a variable, it is called as unpacking, right? So here I say x is equal to gusto 20 and education, right? So I have two string variables and one integer variable, right? So now this is like these are the values and now I'm giving the keys here. I say company, employee and profile. Company, employee and profile is equal to x, which means that the values are all will be copied to x. So your first line is called as packing and your second line is called as unpacking. Your first line is where values are placed inside your tuple, so that is called as packing, and in the second line the values are placed into a variable. The values are removed from a tuple and they are placed inside a variable, so it is called as unpacking. Right. So we'll see how do you compare two tuples, right? So the first case, we have a is equal to 5,6 and b is equal to 1,4. If a greater than b. So how do you check? So first check the first element of your tuple A and check the first element of your tuple B. And tell me what is the result. So first check the first element of tuple A and the second element of tuple B. So which is bigger now?
A, ma'am.
Tuple.
A is bigger. So you say that A is bigger. And only if you are not able to compare in the first element, then you move to the second element. So when you take the case of your second case, compare the first element of A and compare the first element of B. The first element of tuple A is 5 and the first element of tuple B is 5. So they are equal, right? So I don't have any options for equal, so I move to the next element. So now compare the second element of tuple A with the second element of tuple B. Now I compare 6 and 4. So which is greater?
A, ma'am.
A, ma'am.
Greater. So A is greater here. And case 3. First element of tuple A is 5 and first element of tuple B is 6. And when you compare 5 and 6, which is greater?
B.
B is greater, so you say tuple B is greater. So this is how you'll be comparing two tuples. First element with the first element, second element with the second element, third element with the third element, fourth with the fourth, fifth and fifth with the fifth, and so on. So this is how you'll be comparing two elements, right? You don't have big methods in tuples because since tuples are immutable, they are only readable. We don't have any big methods. We'll have just two methods here. One is the count method. For number of occurrences of the value 5. So in this tuple, I'll have 5 that occurs 2 times. So the value of count is 2 here, and index, right? It returns the first occurrence of this 8, right? Since I have 2 occurrences of 8, which occurrence do I take? It is always the first occurrence of 8 will be taken into count. Right? The first occurrence of 8 will be returned as your index. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 3 will be taken as, so 0, 1, 2, 3. So 3 will be returned as your output here. So if you have more than multiple elements, then you'll have to return only the first element. Right? So now tell me the output for this. See, without for, how are second elements compared, right? You don't have a for loop there. You don't require, because this is how your comparison process, comparison operators works for a tuple. It is all built in. You don't require a for here. You don't require the use of a for loop here. Right, if you can see all the operations that can happen in a string, it can happen here, right? You have your string repetitions, string concatenation, your plus operator is there, your slicing is there. So what about this last line?
Yeah.
Why it is an error?
Updation. Tuple is now immutable.
Right, because I'm trying to change the value. I'm trying to change the value. So this is not possible, or this is not allowed. So tuples are immutable, right? So remember this also. Right. So now we have completed almost all the data types. We are left only with the last data type, that is your sets in Python, right? So now what do you know about sets in Python? What do you understand by the term sets in Python? You have not heard about sets in Python?
Enclosed in curly brace.
Right, I'll show you. Right, now I'll show you that. Tell me if you can remember anything about your sets in Python. What about the data types that can be added to it? Right, we say that the set is the only data type we have which says that it is unordered and unindexed. When you say unordered and unindexed, usually when we access your elements of your item, you'll be accessing it using your index numbers, right? So, but when you take a case of your set, you don't have any index number, right? You don't have any index number, right? And the other important thing about sets is that you cannot have duplicate values. You cannot have duplicate values, and the main purpose of your set is to perform your mathematical operations. You go for your sets data type. And when you talk about the sets are mutable, right? The sets are mutable, right? You can add or remove an element to it, or delete anything that can be done. You can add an element, remove an element, or you can change the value of an element. So you say that your sets are mutable, right? So, but your members of your set, when you talk about your members of your set, they should not be immutable, right? So now how do I inside a set, you cannot have a list as its member, or you cannot have a dictionary as a member. But inside a set, you can have a tuple. Inside a set, you can have a tuple, but you cannot have inside a member. Inside your sets, you can have strings and tuples, but you cannot have list and dictionary. The reason is that list and dictionary are immutable. The list and dictionaries are immutable. So you cannot have them inside your set. So when you talk about set, a set is again a mutable object, but the members of your set should be immutable, right? Your members of your set should be immutable. So, right, when I say I'm creating a set here, this list of I'm creating 3 elements, and all these 3 elements they are all your string type. They are all of the type string, and you can have multiple data types, right? But you cannot have list and dictionary. Other than that, you can have multiple data types within a set. And now when you display the set, look at your output. Your output is in a different order. And it is also a possibility that for the first time when I run this program, for the first time when I execute this program, I may get this output. And for the second time when I execute this program, I may get another different output, right? So these are some features of your set. So you have your online compilers or any Python compiler. Can you run and check if you are you getting the same output or a different output? I want you to run the same program twice. Do you have an online compiler? You can open your online compilers and run this program. You have online compilers? See, this will take only 2 minutes. Can you do it a little bit faster? Run this program, not once.
Yeah.
Right, you can run it in any. If you want, you can also run it in your Python shell. Wherever you want, you can run this, but try that. Right, same output for once and try. Right, it changes every time. Right, so it changes every time, and sometimes you'll get the same output. It cannot be guaranteed. It cannot be guaranteed, right? So this is a set. So now, and you can also use a set constructor to create a set. So you will have a list constructor, you will have a set constructor, you will have a tuple constructor, and also you will have a dict constructor. So remember, you will have 4 constructors, right? 4 constructors for these 4 data types, and using them you can create a data type, right? And using them you can create it, or you can use to copy the data type, right? And use to change from one type to another also. That is all possible. So now, how do you access your set? So usually to access your list items and all those things, you will be using your index number. But you know that a set is an unordered and unindexed. You don't have any index here. So I don't have any way to access a particular element of a set. Right? So you cannot just write it as set of 0, set of 2. It is not possible because you don't have any index values here. Right? So you'll be using a for loop. By using a for loop, you will be looping through a set. And when I loop through a set, then only the entire set will be displayed here. Right? You will be displaying the entire set. An entire set will be displayed. And just like all your other cases, you can also use a membership operator here. Your membership operator can also be used here, right? So now can I add an element to a list? Yes, you can add an element to a set. The add method is used to add an element to a set. And after you use your add method, you can, the element that you have newly added, right? So I have a set here. The existing set has three members, apple, banana, and cherry. And now I've used the add method here, right? So after I've used the add method, right? So where will this orange be stored? So this orange can be stored anywhere. You cannot guarantee that. So this orange can be stored anywhere. It can be stored as the first element, second element, or the third element, or the fourth element, right? So now once you have used your add method to add an element, and if you want to add one more element, then you can use your update method, right? Or if you want to add more than one element, then you can use your update method. And similarly also, you use your add method or your update method to add an element to a list. And you cannot ensure, or you cannot definitely say the element will be added at this position, right? It can be added anywhere. It can be added anywhere, the same case. So each and every time you run, you will get a different output. You will get a different output. So this is the property of your set. And remember that set does not allow you to use duplicate values. And to how many elements that your set has. Again, you'll be using your Len method for that. Again, you'll be using your Len method. So when I use a Len method here, this determines the number of elements of your set here, right? So again, you can use your del keyword to delete your entire set. Del keyword is used to delete your entire set. And now, as I told you, you have this sets are mainly used for your purpose of mathematical operations, right? So now when you have to join two sets, you can use your union method. So it says that set 3 is equal to set 1 dot union of set 2. Set 3 is equal to set 1 of union of set 2. So as I told you, it can be added in any way, right? It can be added in any way. So now what are the methods of your set? You have your add method to add an element to a set, right? So now remember, set does not have duplicate methods. So when I duplicate value, so apple is already there in your set, and when I try to add apple again, it does not gives me an error, right? No error will be given, but rather apple again will not be added into your set, right? And clear method, this is used to clear all the elements in a set, right? So remember this, to combine two sets, you will have to use only your union method. That is the best option for a set. And because for your previous list, you'll be using plus, and for your tuple also, you'll be using your plus operator, right? And copy method is used to copy listing, and difference, right? So this is your difference method, right?
Ma'am,
Yes,
what is the difference between clear and delete method, ma'am?
clear. When you say clear, only your contents will be clear, right? But the list or the set will be still in memory. But when I use a del, completely your entire list will be deleted, right? So your output of your clear method will be an empty list or an empty set or an empty tuple, but an output of a del method will be nothing. Your list will be completely removed from memory. You understand the difference now? Clear is used to remove only the contents. When I say clear of X, apple, banana, and cherry will be only removed from your memory. And when I say delete of X, the entire set will be removed from memory. So that memory will be completely free. So this is your difference. You're clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So now, we'll be studying about some of your mathematical functions. So this is X dot difference of Y. So whatever that is in X and Y will be deleted, right? So this is your difference method. Right. So what is the difference between difference and difference update? So X has got apple, banana, and cherry, and now Y has got Google, Microsoft, and Apple. So what is the difference when I say X dot difference of update of Y? So now go through your previous one. Right. So what is your output here? When you say X dot of difference Y, the element that is in Y will be removed in X, and that will be displayed as your output here, right? So look at your output carefully here. Yes, Karthik? Karthik? So Karthik, can I proceed? Right. So now when you say here, X dot difference of 2, and previously this was Z is equal to. Because Z is equal to, but here it is not the same. Right? You are not creating a new list here, right? You are not creating a new list. Instead, your existing list is updated. We can use X is equal to X dot difference of Y instead difference update, right? So why don't you try this and check? You can try this option also, right? So your question is, right, we'll try this. So we can use X is equal to X dot difference of Y instead of using Z is equal to, right? We'll check the same program now. And I'll show you the difference. When we run the program, you will get to know the difference.
Ma'am?
Yes?
Ma'am, what if we use X dot difference update of Y, ma'am? For Z is equal to X dot difference update of Y, ma'am.
Right. So now I'll be showing the outputs in your compiler, right? So we'll see the difference one by one, right? So please tell me whatever the changes that you need to be made, that we'll do that one by one, and I'll let you know the difference, right? What was your question? You said that X dot difference update of Y.
Z is equal to X dot difference update of Y.
So that is not needed actually.
Ma'am, same output will be no. In Z, X will be stored in Z, no, ma'am.
Right. So before going into that one, I have something here. Do you understand? I have a program here. We'll see that program after this. So tell me if you can understand what is this.
Ma'am, I have a doubt, ma'am. Why is percentage D used, ma'am?
See, when you talk about this is a formatting program. Right? This is a formatting program. No, this is not list comprehension. This is not list comprehension. This is called to be formatting. Right. So yesterday when we were talking about strings, remember I told you one function called as format. You remember the format function?
No, ma'am.
You remember your string format function?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
What was your purpose of your string format function? It is used to combine a
Integer. String with numerical.
right. It is used to combine a string with numericals, right? So what did you do whenever I had a string and when I have to add a numeric in that place, then I put a placeholder. So what was a placeholder? A placeholder was a open and a
Close curly brace.
You remember all those things which I was taught yesterday? Right. So now, if we can talk about this style of formatting, this is called to be your C style of formatting. You remember in your C, you usually have that, right? So I have spotted %D tigers, and I close again. I say tigers. You remember that in your C language? The sum
Yes,
of
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
%D comma sum. And if you can see this type of formatting in Python, this is very similar to the formatting that we have used in your C language, right? So this is called as C style of formatting. So what do I have in the first line? It say 43. So now I say print I have spotted %D tigers and close the quotes and no space, no comma, no space, no comma, %tigers. So the output of the first line will be I have spotted 43 tigers. And this %D indicates that this is a %D indicates that this is a it is an integer number. You need to have an integer number here, right? You need to have an integer number here. And right, the next question it says in %D years I have spotted %D, %yes. So I have more than one value here, right? How many format specifiers are there? %D is one format specifiers and %G is used for a floating point value and %yes for a string. So I have three format specifiers. So when I have more than one value, then it is given in a tuple, right? Then I use a tuple here. So outside your tuple, you'll have a %. Then the values that have to be displayed here, that is given within a tuple. You are able to follow the second line, right? You understand the second line of the program, right? And now, what is this .2D? What do you mean by .2D?
Reduce it to 2 digits.
Reduce it to 2 digit. Am I talking about an integer number or a floating point number?
Integer, ma'am.
Integer.
But I have a point there.
I think it is should be multiplied, ma'am.
Make all the numbers into 2 digits, ma'am.
Right, Manju, this is a decimal number, so you don't have decimal points, right? So whenever you say percentage D, we are talking only about an integer numbers, right? Whenever you say it's percentage D, we are talking only about a integer number. In an integer number, you don't have any decimal place, even though it is 0.2D. When you say 0.2D, this means that you need to, this digits that are given here should be made as a 2-digit number. All your integer numbers that are given here, right? All your integer numbers that are given here, they should be converted into a 2-digit number, right? So now 23 is already 23. So you'll have 23. And if you can see, there is a colon here. I have a colon here. So this colon, and after that 9. 9 is a single digit number. So it should be made as 2-digit. So where do you add 0? Before or after?
Before, ma'am.
Always add before, don't add after, right? So whenever you need to add 0, it should be added only before. So now it is changed to 23:09:00. So this is again one type of formatting that you can use it in your program. So I'll open a new file. So we'll go to your sets. Right, so we'll run this program. Right, now tell me what are the changes you need to make. So we'll do the changes one by one. Please tell me one by one.
X is equal to x dot difference of y.
So now tell me what are the changes that you need to make.
X equal to x dot difference of y in third line.
Which third line? X is equal to, right? So we'll run this program. X is equal to x dot difference of y. So we'll run this.
Print x.
Print x.
Okay, this should also be changed, right? You're getting the same output. So you wanted some changes to be made here.
Ma'am, is it
X
in
dot
third line? Is it is equal to
difference.
x?
So someone has typed it here. Right, this one. Z is equal to.
Ma'am, in third line, z is equal to x dot difference update of y, ma'am.
Right, what I'm changing, the changes that I'm making is right here. Yeah, you want these changes, right?
Ah, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Why it is coming none, ma'am?
Right. So now can you understand the difference between these two? So when you're talking about difference update, right? So when you just say difference, x dot difference of x. Okay. So one more thing, someone has given me an answer. We'll check this also. You want to find x dot difference of x. Everything gets cancelled. You'll get only an empty set, right? So previously it was y here. Right. So now, what is the difference between these two functions now? What is the difference between these two functions? So now when I say x dot, just a difference function, right? Difference function you can, if you want, you can use another set, right? You can use another variable, completely different variable. You can use previously I've used a variable called as z here, right? So it is not an issue. You can use a third variable, right? But when it comes to difference of update, you are making the changes within the set itself. You have to go for another variable, right? So this is a difference between difference and difference update. So when you just say difference, you can do it within the program. You can do, if there are, if you want, you can go for a third variable, or if not, you can make changes within your, yes.
If I print, if I command print x dot difference update of y means it shows none. Why, ma'am?
If you are commenting,
Print x dot or difference update of y means it shows none.
tell me once again, if you're commenting.
X dot difference update of y means it shows none.
This one, you're commenting.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Here print x dot difference of update.
Print x dot
Difference update y.
run this. Right. If you run this, your question is why it is none. If I run this, right? Is that your
Yes,
question? Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when you simply give it as print x, it is working.
Yes, ma'am.
Print set. This works. We'll check that if this works. So this was your, I think this was your previous program. And even when I say print set is equal to, it gives me only none here.
Ma'am, your screen is not visible.
The screen is not visible. Is my screen visible now? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it's visible, right? So now I'll tell you, first understand what is the function, then I'll tell you what is the difference between here, right? So now previously, difference, whenever I say difference, just difference, forget about your difference update now, right? So if you want, you can check this now, print. So I'm commenting this line now. So we'll check if this works now. Right, this works. Your first difference works. So whenever you say it's only difference, whenever I say only difference, it happens in a different set, right? It can either, most of the time it happens in a different set, or very maximum you'll use this x. So the general principle or a standard notation when you start working in Python is, whenever I work in difference, I will not be using x here, right? I will not be using x here. I'll be using only a third variable. I will not use x. I will not use y, but I'll use only a third variable here. It can be z or it can be any variable, because whenever I say difference, I usually like to have c is equal to a minus b. right? So in that way, I'm operating on a third variable. That is how your difference function is defined. So you can use your difference function, right? You can use it within your print or simply assign a third variable, you will get your output. But when you talk about a difference update, it is a very special function here. This is a very special function. Any modification will be happening only within that same. Right? So that is the reason when you give Z, right? We'll first comment the statement. So we'll comment the statement first. We'll not have this print here. And here again, it is not. Right. So here again, when you talk about difference update, the changes it made within a same set. The changes it made within a same set. So why does this doesn't works within your print statement, right? So now you are clear with all those things, but your only doubt is right. Yes, Manju, you're right. For a difference, you can have a third variable or you may not have a third variable, but the general standard is you will have a third variable, right? But when you talk about a difference update, the changes is not made in a different variable, but it is made in either it is made in X or it is made in Y. So that is the reason when you give Z, you are getting an output as none. And now when you print the same text, right? Now when you print it again. So now when you put this inside your print function, this will not work, right? When you print this within your print function, this doesn't work, right? This is because we have something called as your precedence, right? Your associativity, your precedence of your functions, right? This is your precedence of which happens first, right? Which happens first. So within your print statement, if you put this operator within your print statement, if you put this operator, this will not work because this is something related with your internal working of your difference update function, right? So to keep this very simple, we come to a conclusion that so you will have to print it separately, right? Only then you will get a right output because of your precedence, because of the precedence and the way that you read your output. So you start reading it from your you start reading it from your left to your right. So once you have done that, after that, because in this operation X dot difference of update of Y, you do the operation, and after doing the operation, your set X will be updated, right? So when you do this, this will not happen within your print statement because you will have a clash of a precedent. So this doesn't happen within your print statement. So only when you do it outside, it happens. Right? So that is the reason I do it separately, right? So understand. So just like your difference update, you'll have some other operations also. Yes, Prakash, what is your doubt? I get all the element printed in the set while using difference and difference update. Prakash, did you do the same program or a different program? You have done the same program or a different program, Prakash? Same. But how come? Or did you try it in an online compiler? want me to paste the code here? Okay, I'll paste the code here. The chat box, I'll send you the code in your chat box. Right, Prakash, I'm sending you the code in your right, I've sent you the code in your chat box, and it's better that I suggest you don't do it in an online compiler, right? Do it in any IDE, that will always be better. So where did we leave? Right, and the next method, we use a discard method, and this discard method is used to remove an element from a set. It is used to remove an element from a set, and set in intersection, this works as in the same way. The elements that exist in both your sets will be added, right? And similarly, you will have an intersection update also, just like you had intersection. We will have an intersection update also. And is disjoint set. What do you mean by a disjoint set? If both the sets does not contain the same element, then you call to be a disjoint set. So if you take your case of X, it's apple, banana, and cherry, and Y, Google, Microsoft, and Facebook. They contain different elements. So this is called to be a disjoint set. You call to be a disjoint set, and is a subset. Right, it's working. Then Prakash, please. I'm not sure it's Prakash, right? I hope it's Prakash. So, okay. So Prakash, check your output and check what online compiler you're using. Prakash, what online compiler, and Ishwar, what online compiler you're using. So if possible, you can share that also here, so you get to know what online compiler you're using. Right, and this is a subset function. Is X a subset of Y? If all your elements present in X are there in Y, if all your elements present in X are present in Y, then you can use your subset. Then you can say X is a subset of Y. Quote Y. And those who have not installed any IDE, please install an IDE. Tomorrow we will be working with your file operations, right? So tomorrow I'll be giving you a few programs using your files. So it is better to work your file programs in your editors and not in your online editors. So anything of your choice is fine, right? So one or two programs we may do it there. Okay? So yes, Naveen, you have a doubt, Naveen? So this is a subset method. Your output will be a Boolean output. And superset, you know what is the subset and what is a superset now? So you say X is a superset of Y. So all the elements of Y are present in your X. So you say X is a superset. So this is again true. The pop method it removes the last element. Pop method removes the last element. Okay. And to remove an element, you will use remove. To remove an element from a set, you can use your remove method. Right, and now tell me what is semantic difference. You find any difference? What is the difference between a semantic difference and the difference?
Difference. Semantic difference.
It will print the dissimilar
eliminate the
elements.
differences.
Okay. Yes, someone was telling me the answer. Yes, you can continue, please.
Semantic difference, eliminate the differences. Differences show the only difference only.
Can you be a little bit louder? The same element in both the sets will be removed, and the common
Element will be shown.
Right, the common element, that is apple, will be removed, and the sets will be combined together, and the output will be printed, right? And the output will be printed. This is called as your semantic difference. And similarly to semantic difference, you will have semantic difference update. The only difference between an update and an ordinary method is that when you go for just a semantic difference, you may use or you may not use a third variable, but when it comes for a semantic difference, it is updated within itself. This is your difference here, right? Your list itself is updated, and union, we have seen already, two lists will be combined together and you will have your output here. And if there are if apple occurs twice here, right? Apple is present in your set X also, and you have apple in your set Y also. But when you look at your output, apple will be there only one time. Apple will be displayed only once. And this is again an update method. Remember, we have seen an update method. An update method can also be used to add an elements, right? Right, so we have reached your end of your sets also. And tell me, did we see about your if structure, if and for loop yesterday? If and for loop yesterday, was this discussed yesterday?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
So can we go on for a short break?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we'll go in for a short break of 5 minutes and we'll be back again. So after that, after your break, we will continue with your, I'll have two things to tell you. One is that we'll be starting with your control structures, and then we'll have your functions, right? And before that, you have any doubts in your questions, test questions? If you have any doubts, please make a note of that also. We'll discuss it today in your later half, right? So now we'll be going in for a short break. See, I have sent you a support team email ID, right? So if you have any doubts regarding where you will have to take your test and all those things, you will be getting send in a mail and they will be able to help you out. And regarding your YouTube link, yesterday's video, it's getting ready. It will be uploaded only by today evening. And once it's uploaded, the YouTube channel link will be given in your portal. Right? And any other queries regarding your test and test topics, someone has asked me about your test topics. It was only the basics that was taught yesterday. And since many of you have not written your test, I don't think it will be appropriate to discuss your test today. Can we do that tomorrow? Test was not available. So people have written the test. How many of you have written the test? Has any one of you have written the test? Okay, Bhargav, Melodious, Sharat, Shalva. Okay, so people have written the test. And if you have doubts regarding your test was not available, Swarna Shri, ma'am, I didn't attend yesterday's class, so please tell me what to do. So regarding your test will be available in your portal. Your test will, okay, many of you have written the test. Okay, so that's not an issue. You send a mail to your support team. I've given you the support team mail ID. So send a mail to your support team saying that you have not written the test today and you can take up the test, and I will not be discussing your answers today, right? So we will not be discussing the answer. So you want me to send the mail ID again? Support at myonlinestatus.in.com. So thank you, Pavan. Anyway, I have also sent it. Yes, every day you will have a test. So your today's test will be based on strings. I thought I'll discuss something. Maybe at the end of your class we'll discuss. So people have come. So Bhargav, you still have any doubts? Why is your hand raised, Bhargav? You will have test for aptitude also, but I'm not very sure. But there is test for aptitude. Okay. So Bhargav is gone. Okay, so we shall continue with the class. Dinesh, send a mail to a support team. Send a mail to a support team and they will be able to help you. Send a mail to a support team and they will be able to help you, Dinesh. See, your test will be uploaded every day by 6 to 6:30. By 6 to 6:30, your test will be uploaded. You can take up the test, right? And I think your test will be available till morning 11. I'm not very sure of the morning 11. Morning it will be like available till 9. Till morning 9 it will be available.
No, ma'am, we can't able to access, ma'am.
You are not able to access the test. Yeah, give me some time, just a minute. See, regarding your test, Paul sir will be telling you the information in some time. So please wait till now, right? So you have not yet written the test. I got my cutoff 50%, but my score is 0%. Right, whatever is your doubt regarding your test, please wait. Your sir will be telling you information about your test in some time. So you are not able to write the test yesterday. I was not in the class. So please send in a message. So your sir will be able to clarify your doubts about your test, right? So we'll be timing regarding your timing and everything. Your sir will help you to. Your sir will guide you regarding that. So we'll continue the class in between. So in some time your sir will get in touch with us all. So Rohit, you said that you wrote the test, got my cutoff 50%, but the score is 0%. I sent request to the support. Rohit, I'll check and I'll update to you. Okay, Rohit. So please give us some time. I'll check and update to you. So we'll be starting with the class now. So we'll not wait and we'll start with the class. And the meantime, after your sir comes, he will be able to guide us. Right. So see, your YouTube link has been given. So your YouTube link has been given to you.
Edina ma'am,
Yes, sir.
yes, see the test will be active from evening 6 to next day 11, and immediately that we are publishing the result. We wanted to see the students improve. Even now the result is ready. We will be publishing at the end of this. So after this, again the test will be active. So students can take their own time. It will be active from today. Again, yesterday's test will be active. But from morning 11 till this session gets over, the test will not be active. Previous day test. Okay. And after the session gets over, the old test also will be active. Okay, this is, we want the students to work intensively, spend more time, and disciplined way they need to work. So for that only we have given the system. Definitely the previous test will be active. Yesterday test will become active in today evening also. Okay, but the today's test will be active from today 6 o'clock to tomorrow morning 11 o'clock. We are giving ample of time. It's more than 12 hours we are giving. And morning also, if you can get up at even at 10 o'clock, you can complete by 11. Okay. So then again it will be active because we wanted to see the students' participation in the test more. So maybe when I give you the result today, you will understand more. Okay. Yes. I hope it's clear for you. Okay, ma'am. Please proceed. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
The YouTube channel also I have given in the chat box. Student can wait for the yesterday's video. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So hope this is clear. And if still there's doubt, we can get it clarified later. So we'll continue with your class. And decision making and loops, it's just the same like we have seen in correct option. We'll discuss at the end of your class. Right? But today we'll not be discussing because it's like today many of you have not written your yesterday's test. So today we'll not be discussing. We'll discuss both at your end of tomorrow's class. Is that okay? We'll discuss both at the end of your tomorrow's class. So now we'll start with your decision making. Let's start with your decision making now. So now when you talk about decision making and loops, you know that you will have your if statement, your else part, else, if else, and you will also have your switch case for while and do while under your loops. But now when you take your so now when you take your Python, you will not have any switch cases, right? You will not have any switch cases. And also remember that in Python, we don't use any opening and closing curly braces. So it is only your indentations, right? So only when it comes to your decision structures, your looping structures, your functions and classes, we give a very big weightage to your indentation, right? So I will not be telling you all those things in details because if loop or all what we have seen from the beginning. So I'll just show you an example program and we'll keep going, right? So now, so if you can see here, I read an input here, right? So I read an input and after reading an input, I get the output. And this is called to be a simple if structure. I don't have an else part here. So this is called as a simple if structure. And when you look at this program, I have an else part here. This program has got an else part. So this program is your usual if else structure, right? So this is a if else structure here. Right. And now, what does this line mean? Number is equal to int of input of enter the number. What is the meaning of this line here?
The input number should be an integer.
The input number should be a integer, right? So why do you have to convert it to an integer? You are converting it to an integer. So what happens when I don't convert it to an integer?
It will remain in string.
It will remain
In string data type, ma'am.
Right. So now just look at the program. I am just reading an input here, right? I'm not converting it to a number. So I'm reading an input here, right? So this says that you cannot do this number modulo 2 operation because anything that you read from a console, anything that you read from a console, it is treated as a string. So that is the reason it has to be converted to a integer. So remember this is a very important operation. And when I read a string, how do I read a string? When I read the strings, can I read it as input, enter the string? Right? When you read a string, you can just read it as such and you don't require any, no conversion is required. When you read a string from the user, no conversion is required. And when you read a floating point value from a user, it should be float off, input off. So remember this is something very, very important here. You cannot just read it. When you read it, your input has to be converted into an int because anything that is read from a console is treated as a string. Right? So the next is again an elif. It's an elif, or you call to be an if-else ladder, right? So this is your usual syntax, right? And here you'll be seeing something called as a pass statement. So what do you mean by a pass statement? So if you want to have an empty if structure, if I need to have an empty if structure, when I say an empty if structure, what do I mean by an empty if structure? So if followed by a condition is an if. And when I don't have a body of your loop, when I don't have a body for your if structure, right, it will give me an error. If I don't have this body of your if structure, this will definitely give me an error, right? So I'm removing the body of your structure, and after removing the body of your structure, I'm running this program. So this gives me an error here. So if you don't want to get an error, then you will have to use your pass statement. So this pass statement, right? So this pass statement, you can use it along with your, this can be used along with your for loop. You'll be using it with your while loop, and you'll also be used, it can also be used with your class structures, and you can also use it with your functions. And remember, so this pass statement is something a very, very important statement. A pass statement is something called as, if you want to have an empty if structure, and if you don't want to, in order to avoid getting an error, then you use a pass structure. So whenever I mean an empty, my voice is not clear. So whenever I need to have an empty if structure. So remember, is my voice clear to everybody? Is my voice audible?
Yes, ma'am.
So Vishal, please, you need to check your connection. I think most of you have no issues with my voice. So whenever I say an empty if structure, you need to understand what do I mean by an empty if, right? So I need to have a if, then a condition, right? So it's only the body of your loop. I don't have a body of your if structure. And if I don't have to get an error, then I'll be using then I need to use my pass statement, right? It is not only with your if structure, you can also use it with your for, right? And then we'll be going for your looping structure. So when do I have to go for a loop structure? When I have a set of operations that has to be done again and again, then I go for a loop structure. So what is the syntax for a for loop? The general syntax for your for loop. I'm not talking about the syntax in Python. The general syntax for a for loop. I have told you that I'm not talking about in Python. What is the general syntax for a variable, for a for loop? The general syntax.
For of start.
You will have an initial condition, right? A for loop has got three parts. The first part will be an initial condition.
Start, stop, and steps.
Your testing condition.
And initialize.
And your last part will be your steps. Either you increment it or decrement it, right? So these are the three essential part of your for loop. So when I use a for in Python. Usually a for in Python will almost most of your cases a for loop, you'll be using it for displaying a string, for displaying the elements of your set, to display your tuple. Right? You can use your for loop to display your contents of your list and so on. So in that case, your for loop is usually used with a function called as a range function. So when I say for x in the range of 6 and print x, what will be the output of this for loop? Right? So when you talk about a range function, by default, your range function starts from 0. The default value of your range function, it starts from 0. And after starting from 0, for each and every iteration of your for loop, it is incremented by 1. It is incremented by 1. And after that, right? So what is your ending range? When I say range of 6, 6 will not be printed. When you say range of 6, 6 will not be printed. So only values from 0 to 5 will be printed. So by default, it starts from 0, and for each and every iteration, your value of your for loop increases by 1. The value of your loop is increased by 1, and also that your ending condition, your ending range 6 will not be included. So it is printed from 0 to 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is your range function, and your default values can be changed. When I say for x in the range of 2, 6, when I say 2, 6, your default value of 0 is changed here. Instead, my for loop starts from 2. Instead, your for loop starts from 2, 3, 4, and 5. This will be your output. 2, 3, 4, and 5 will be your output. And also that you will not be, it will not, the last, your ending range will also not be included. Right? And if you want, you can also change your step count also. So when I say for x in the range of 2, 30, 3, it starts from 2, your ending range is 30, and for each and every iteration, the value is increased by 3. For each and every iteration, the value is increased by 3. So you will have 2, after 2 it's 5, 8, and so on. And always remember, your ending range will not be included. Right? It's start, stop, and step over. So your ending range will not be included. Right? So by this you can change your default parameters. Right? So you have seen about your end parameter. Right? You have used your end parameters somewhere.
Ends the loop.
Yes. So where do you use your end parameter?
If
your end parameters were used in programs, right? If you have to break a particular output pattern in your program, then you will be using your end parameter, right? So this line, when you say welcome to codes PD, and when I don't have this end and a white space, they will be printed together. There will not be any white space, right? So that is the reason I will use a end parameter here. And similarly, we'll also have a nested for loop here. So nested for loop is where I have one for loop inside another for loop. So this is called as your nested for loop, right? So I'll show you one program. I want you to tell me the output of that program. I'll show you a program. I want you to tell me the output for this program. Screen is visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so tell me the
Yes, ma'am.
output of this program. See, for each and every MCQ, the time that should be taken by you should be only, it is less than a minute. You cannot consider it to be 1 minute also, it should be 55 seconds. I'm giving you 2 minutes also. I want you to find the answer for this. Where am I printing star here? Check your print statement.
Zero comma zero comma zero comma zero. 0, 0. Fully 0.
Fully 0. Simple as that. No, first line is right. For the first print, it's fully 0, and for the second print, it's not fully 0. Right. So, right, I told you it's right. 0, 0, that's right. Okay. It's right. The answer is right. I'll give you the answer. So I'll tell you what it is. The first printed nested list is very clear. 0 on the range of rows and 0 on the range of columns. Everything will be 0 here. So now when you take this case, see, did you work out or did you try the program in a compiler? See, only when I tell you to work the program in a compiler, you are supposed to work the program in your compiler, right? Or else you're not supposed to do that, right? And for those, can someone explain me what is this program? The second line of your output, can you explain me? Anyone?
Multiplication of row value and column value and store it in the.
Right, as you know that R in the range of rows, R in the range of rows and C in the range of columns, right? So when I say range of 3, the value of R will be 0, 1, 2. And whenever you say column, right, the values will be 0, 1, 2 and 3. So that is why you get the first step, it will be 0 into 0, 0 into 1, 0 into 2, 0 into 3. And the next step, 1 into 0, 1 into 1, 1 into 2 and 1 into 3. And the next step, it will be 2 into 0, 2 into 1, 2 into 2 and 2 into 3. Right, you're clear with this? Right. So that is why you get this output here.
Ma'am, explain the nested list statement, ma'am.
That's what I've told you here, right? Nested list was R into C. R into C, that was I was explaining you just now, right? So
First one, first nested is 0 for column in range.
0 for column in range of calls. Explain that, ma'am.
0 for column in range of columns. What is range of columns? What is range of 3? Range of 3.
0,
0
1,
to 2.
0,
1,
1,
2.
0, 1, 2.
0, 1, 2. And here again, range of rows.
0, 1, 2.
0, 1, 2, 3.
0, 1, the same thing. 0, 1, 2, 3. Right? So here
Ma'am, actually rows is 3, ma'am. Range of rows means 0, 1, 2. Ma'am.
So sorry, first it is range of columns. When you say range of columns, here it will be like I'll have 0, 1, 2, and 3. And range of rows here it will be like 0, 1, and 2. 0, 1, and 2. So it's very simple. 0 for all your columns in the range, right? So whenever the loop runs, everything will be filled with 0, 0, 0. Right? Everything will be filled with 0, 0. That is what I say. The first thing. Did you see the 0 here? Did you see the 0 here?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So it says that 0 for column in the range of columns and for row in the rows of rows. So how many times this for loop runs? This for loop will run for first it will run for 4 times, right? That is why you have 4 elements here, right? You'll have 4 elements, and that is the reason you'll have 4 within each brackets, right? Since it's range of columns, that is the reason you'll have 4 there, right? So, right, and so you have already studied your for and your while loop in your previous programming languages. See, we have already studied your for and your while in your previous programming languages, right? And have you studied about your if structure in your previous programming languages? We have also studied. So now I have a question. Tell me, when I have an else is a keyword. So where can I use my else? Where and when can I use my else here?
If the condition in for loop
Condition is false or not satisfied.
Can I use my else separately?
No, ma'am.
No,
It
ma'am.
always comes with along with if.
Your else statement.
Ma'am, the results are ready. Let me know when we can share the result.
Sir, let me complete this another 5 minutes, sir.
Yeah, around 4:25 you give me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Around 4:25 you can share the results, sir.
Sure. Thank you.
So as we know that when I have an else part, my else should be used only with your if condition. Am I right with this?
Voice.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you have an else, your else will be used only with your if statement, right? Or have I used my else separately anywhere? No. If I use my else separately, it will give me an error. It will definitely generate me an error here. Right. But when you take a case of Python, and remember, whatever I am telling you now, it is applicable only for Python. And it is not applicable for any other programming language. Right? So when you take an else statement, your else statement can be used along with your for and the while loop. Right? You can use your else along with your for and the while loop. And when you use your else in your for and the while loop, you don't need a if statement. Right? You don't need a if statement. So when I have a program here, I say for I in the range of 0, 5. For I in the range of 0, 5, print I. So what will be the output of this I now? 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5 will not be printed. So when I say this, after that my else part will be printed. For loop completely exhausted since there is no break. Right? So now remember, for an else part to be executed inside a for and a while, you have a condition. Only if your for loop completes its execution. Only if your for loop has completed its execution, then your else part will be executed. So in this case, as my for loop completed its execution, and in this
Yes,
part, as
ma'am.
my for loop completed its execution, yes, my for loop has completed its execution. So my else part is printed. So look at the next program. I have a for here. So print type, and after that I have a break statement. When you encounter a break statement, what happens? What is the purpose of a break statement?
Exits the loop.
When I have a break statement, it exits the loop, right? And it comes out of your loop, and the next line immediately after the loop will be executed. And what is the next line after the loop?
Else.
Else, but this else will not be executed. The reason here is that my for loop has not completed its execution. Only when your for loop has completed its execution, your else part will be displayed. Your else part will be executed. But now my for loop has not completed its execution, so this else part will not be printed. This else part will not be executed, but the next line immediately after the else part will be executed. So remember this again, only when your loop has completed its execution, then your else part will be executed. And here again, when you take, you will have a pass here. When you want to have an empty for, whenever I say an empty for, I mean only your body of your loop. When you need to have a for loop without any body, okay? And if you want to avoid getting an error, then you'll have to use a pass statement. And similarly, just like your for, you will also have a while statement. And even if you can look at this program, you have an else part within your while also, right? You will have an else part within your while also. So this while executes for I less than or equal to 5. It starts from 1 and executes till I less than or equal to 5. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now all these have been executed, right? So my while loop has completed its execution. Only after the while loop has completed its execution, your else part is being printed here. And look at your next example. I say while I is equal to, sorry, I is less than or equal to 5, print I is equal to I plus 1. I is equal to I plus 1. And I say when I have I is equal to 3, I have a break statement. The condition of the for loop is false. You're talking about which condition of a for loop? Wait, whatever be the case, right? When you say that the for loop has to be executed for 5 times, right? When a for loop is supposed to execute it for five times, and if it fails to execute for 5 times, your else part will not be executed. Whatever may be the situation, right? Whatever be the condition, irrespective of the condition is false or true, whatever it is, right? And when your number of times, right? If the number of times your for loop is supposed to iterate it 5 times, and only if it has completed all these 5 iterations, your else part will be executed. Naturally, if you say the condition for the for loop is false, once your condition for your for loop is false, it is your end, right? Only after if I has to iterate for 5 times, and only after completing its iterations for your 5 times, your condition becomes false, right? In a for loop, when you take a case of your for loop, only after it completes all its iteration, the condition becomes false, right? So your else part would be naturally executed. And if you take the case here, you have a break statement. When I have a break statement, again it comes out of the loop. So this will not be executed, right? So your else part will not be executed. So always remember, for an else part to be executed, you need to have your while or your for should have completed all its iterations, right? So now you have a very special case in Python, which we say is an infinite loop, right? So whenever you use any non-zero values, right, be it 1, 2, 3, or anything, right, other than 0, it indicates that the value is true. So this becomes an infinite loop. But generally, we don't use 2, 3, 4 and all those things. We'll be always use a while you'll be usually using a while of 1. So we'll not be breaking a while loop. So whenever we use a infinite loop is that, remember when you use a switch case, right? So in C programs, when we use a switch case, you put your switch case inside your while loop, right? Or we say that enter the choice, what operator do you want to enter, and you put it inside your while loop. You put it inside your infinite loop. So as and when you need to get an input from a user. So to break this infinite loop, you don't have any particular method or you don't have any particular condition. So you say that enter Y to break an infinite loop or enter N to break an infinite loop. You'll have to get an input from the user to break an infinite loop, right? Or else you don't have any specific method to break an infinite loop. So whenever you say while of 1, this becomes a finite loop, right? And if you have to break it, then you will have to write the code separately for that. When you get a value from the user, then you will have to come out of the loop. And you know the difference between a continue and a break statement. What do you mean by a continue and a break statement?
Continue will skip the iteration.
Continue will skip that particular iteration, and break, you will come out of the loop, right? And Deepika, you are clear with the question now, Deepika?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. So now, so as I told you, I will not be discussing with questions of yesterday, right? I'll show you some questions.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
I'll share the result now.
Yes, sir. You can share the result now, sir.
Oh, sorry, you are sharing something. I just.
Yeah, I'll stop that, sir. You can share it, sir.
1 minute. I'll just share it from Google Drive document bookmarks. From the gallery. 1 minute.
When you have a string, can I change a character of a string?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you change a particular character in a string?
No, ma'am.
Right. Remember, strings are immutable. From mechanical instrumentation. That's good. Subhash Vaishnavi.
Congratulations to students, and there is a sentence scorer, Venkata Siva from PIT. Congratulations, Venkata Siva. And students have performed well. We need, yeah. So all of you know your score, individual scores. So try to work with it better. Keep the score high. And this will be on the feeds of my voice and also. People who want to download, you can download. You can put it as a status. Venkata Siva, you are a sentence scorer there. Okay. If you send your pictures to my voice in WhatsApp support number, they will make a separate photographic topper list also. So students who are on this topper list, the 6 students, please send your recent photograph to Mayo is in support number along with your name, roll number, department, college name. Okay. Congratulations. Oh, go ahead, madam. Sorry, I interrupted you. I thought you finished.
That's okay, sir. That's okay.
So tomorrow we want to see some more names. Even if first rank 3 persons are there, we'll put all the 3 names here. Okay. So please go ahead. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So congratulations once again. And Venkatesaya Venkatesiva. Okay, congratulations. And there's an important announcement. Tomorrow your classes will be at 5:30 in the evening, right? So your tomorrow's class will be at 5:30. It is not at 2. Tomorrow you will have your class at 5:30.
Yeah, only tomorrow. No, so other days same time, right, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Only tomorrow there's a change.
By same link only, the timing only changed. 5:30 to it will be around 2.5 hours session, and from Sunday it will be again only on 2 o'clock. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So it's 5:30 to till how much? 2.5 hours session, right? So till how much you have? 8. So 5:30 to 8. Your session is from 5:30 to 8, and you have a change only on Sunday. So you have a change only on Sunday. So sorry, you will have this change only tomorrow, that is Saturday. And so only after the class you will have your exam, and your exam will be in myos.in. And remember, I'm going to stop my screen share now, and I'm going to ask you some questions regarding MCQs. I'm not going to share my screen now. So I'll ask you some questions and I want you to tell me the answers for that, right? So a few questions I'll be asking you. Right, so what is the output for this?
Error, ma'am.
Error,
ma'am.
Error.
The letter
Right.
R and the hello.
Why don't you try it in a prompt and tell me? You have your Python installed?
The letter R and then hello, ma'am.
A letter R and then hello. You're sure? Did you try printing that?
Slash and hello. Python, ma'am.
R?
Ma'am, slash n hello, ma'am.
Only hello, ma'am.
Only hello. See, this R stands for raw input, right? So this R stands for your raw input, right? When your input is a raw input, no escape sequence will be taken into account. So your output will be only /n hello, right? So what about this one? Print new line.
D, ma'am.
Option C, ma'am.
C,
C,
ma'am.
it is your
C.
option C.
C.
Because no
C, ma'am.
white
C, ma'am.
C, option C. No white spaces are allowed. No white spaces are allowed. So both these strings be concatenated and printed as your output. And this one.
Option B.
So what do you mean by a /x? I told you yesterday. /b. /b stands for a binary. /o stands for an octal number. /x stands for a hexadecimal, right? And now tell me, is /x and x/ the same? /x and x/ are they same? No, they are different, right? /x and x/ and /x is different. So when I have a /x here, this means that this is a hexadecimal value. So this is an escape sequence, so you don't have to be bothered about this. So the answer is only C. It's x/97. It's very simple, fast. The answer is already. The answer is already there. Your string will be reversed. And now tell me what is this? I've just given you the answer for this also.
A, ma'am.
A. What do you mean by 0x? See, when you mean 0x, just now I told you, right? 0b stands for a binary. 0x stands for an hexadecimal. 0o stands for an octal number. So 0xa is an hexadecimal number. A is 10, B is 11, and C is 12. So what is the answer? 10 plus 11 plus 12. So it is 33.
33.
So this is string slicing. So what are you thinking too much? It's string slicing of strings.
Option A, ma'am.
A, ma'am. Option A.
Slicing of strings. Now tell me what is the output for this?
B, madam.
Right, you are trying to change a string. So this results in an error, right? This results in an error.
Error.
Why it is an error?
Why?
U, ma'am.
U, ma'am.
U. See, this is when you say max value, right? And this is not capital Y, it should be small y, right? It is your small y. Capital Y is nowhere, so it is small y. So what is the maximum value of your alphabet? That will be printed for max. Count of L, it's very simple.
2.
Find of E, what does your find function does?
First index.
It finds the first
1.
index. Right? First
1, ma'am.
1.
Four, madam. 4. -1, ma'am.
What you have there, it is R prime, right? So you will have to read it from your end of your string, right? I'm just counting the index. I'm not doing slicing operation. When you do slicing operation, this will be -1. So here this is again 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? So you will find the rightmost occurrence of E. That is your R find. So it is 1 and not, sorry, it is 4 and not -1. And remember this -1 and all those things only in your slicing.
True, ma'am.
True.
So what you do here is that you are reversing a string. And after reversing your string, you check whether your given string starts with D, right? So after reversing, your string starts with D. So this is true. And even though you don't understand the code here, suppose if you don't understand the code, just remember that when you have a start with function, so whenever you have a start with function, the result should always be a Boolean, right? So what are the Boolean operators here? Only true. None is not a Boolean operator, so it's only true. So the answer will be true here, right? So try to make some wild guesses, and I've told you that it is all allowed here, right? You can always use your underscore, right? You can always use a underscore, so that is possible. Okay, so tomorrow, so as sir told you, your test will be active, right? After your end of your class, your test will be active. And remember that tomorrow your class is not at 2. Your class starts by 5:30. Your class starts by 5:30. And after the session, you will have a YouTube link. And that link will be sent in your portal. Your YouTube link will be sent in your portal. So if you have any doubt regarding anything, contact your support team. So tomorrow you will be starting with your function. The test you will have to take it in your myos.portal, myos.in portal. And if you still have doubts, you can contact your support team or ask for the people who have taken the test, right? So tomorrow we'll be starting with your object-oriented concepts. So when you come by your class tomorrow, be a little bit prepared. Just go through some of your concepts and come, right? So we'll leave the class for now. So this is the end of your session. So thank you all, right? And if there are any doubts, you can let me know tomorrow. So thank you all. You can leave.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Call on us for any support.